Before we get started with our meal, I would like to introduce you to our board members. So if you are a board member, would you please stand up? Okay, so I'll start over here. This is Jeff Gasquet with Rainbow River Hearing and Balance, and Wilbur Van Wyk with Riverland Realty. In the back over here, we have Michelle Wooten with Brandon Banks, and in the blue, we have Matthew Balageron with Inkspot Media. On the camera, we have Andy Arevalo with Al's TV, Antenna and Satellite. And over here we have Ruff Pennington with the American Legion, and then Nancy Pettis with the, no, what's your church's name? The United Universalists, okay, and then Avenel Mackerel, who is a local attorney, and Michelle Norsey with the Riverland News and South Marion Citizen. I'm Julie Mancini. I am the chamber director, and tonight our dinner is provided by Purple Sage Cafe. They have prepared like a sweet and okay, so I would like to introduce to you our featured speakers tonight. They are from the College of Central Florida, and I'm going to start with Danielle, who is part of the community relations team, Danielle Doty. Danielle called me a few months ago, and she basically started talking to me about the college and asked me what I knew, and I realized that probably all of us don't know what they're doing over there, so I figured it was time for us to find out. And we also have Dr. Rob Wolf. He's the Dean of Business Technology and Career and Technical Education, and Lauren Carr, who is the Director of Corporate College. And they are here to talk to you tonight about some of the things that are going on at the College of Central Florida, which is right down the street from us. Thank you.
I was told I can take the mic off, so and kind of pace a little bit, so it's kind of the way I work. But Danielle's going to be passing out some work pamphlets for you to look at. But what I want to focus on is a little bit more on the AS degree and the BAS degree. And I know some of you probably are not college age, but at the same time, it's never too late to go back to college. So please think about that. But you also might have some relatives and so forth that are interested in what we have at the college here. And we're doing some really cool stuff when it's all said and done. You have the business and technology pamphlet there. And I kind of want to go over a little bit of those 11 associate in science degree programs that we have. And a lot of people don't know the difference between the associate in arts degree and associate in science degree. Can anybody tell me what the difference is? Does anybody know when I say associate in science and associate in arts degree? Anybody? Okay, yes, sir, go ahead. And traditionally, that's the way it was. Okay, the associate in arts degree, which I got at CF myself, I transferred to a 4-year degree. Okay, so that is your traditional route if you wanted to get a 4-year degree and transfer to the University of Florida, University of Central Florida. But there's also the AS degree and associate in science degree that is more career and technical oriented. So those are the programs that you see there, anything from accounting technology to computer information technology to logistics, which is very big right now in Ocala. Many of you all know that Federal Express came in here with the logistics and distribution centers, AutoZone, Chewy.com. So we kind of reacted to, what the needs are of the area, the Ocala, Marion County area. So that's one degree that we've added, Associate in Science recently in Logistics and Supply Chain Management. But the difference is we became a 4-year college about 10 years ago, and we started that Bachelor of Applied Science degree, which, as the gentleman stated, the AA degree traditionally goes off that get your 2 years and transfer to a 4-year degree. That AS degree can now build off into a Bachelor of Applied Science degree. So that's what we focused off in the organizational management program that we have at CF. So we now have 8 specializations that go towards a Bachelor of Applied Science in organizational management. So those 8 specializations, I'm going to try to name them off real quick without even looking at the pamphlet here to see if I'm able to do it. Okay, our a general business degree, computer information management, information systems specialization, logistics, agribusiness. We have an equine studies program, of course, of Florida. It's one of a kind in basically nationally. It really is very unique to the area. Again, the organizational management, the accounting specialization that we're starting in the fall, and the logistics and supply chain management. So overall, we have 8 different specializations. Oh, healthcare administration is another one that we have too. So when we start these specializations and we have these 4-year degrees, we're really looking at what the demand is in the area. So our students, when they graduate, ideally they can go into this AS degree program that say you're interested in accounting, okay? You would take that 2-year in accounting, get that AS degree, transfer into our BAS degree program, take that route, and then getting your degree in organizational management and that specialization in accounting, okay? And at that point, you can actually go on and get your graduate degree or also get those necessary credits to where you can get a CPA. Okay, so of course, there's a lot of accounting firms in the Ocala area and the Tri-County area that we serve that are just saying, yes, this is what we need. Okay, so any degree that we offer that is on the 4-year level, there's a strategy to that, is because there's a demand. I mean, we're never going to offer a humanities degree or a philosophy. You know, that we're going to leave all that up to UF and those programs, okay? So these are the programs that we offer, that we focus on, that really people can get jobs and high-paying jobs. Another AS degree that's very, very popular now, and you look around Ocala and the manufacturing that's going on, anywhere from Closet Made to Emergency One to custom windows, a lot of the manufacturing is going into an area that isn't your traditional what you think of manufacturing. Okay, it's getting more specialized. It's getting into more robotics. Okay, so we have a 2-year degree in engineering technology right now that is very, very popular, very high-paying job for the area. By the way, our AS degree programs, the average salary is about $42,000 a year for that 2-year degree program. A lot of it is that AS in engineering is even higher. So those graduates right now are getting jobs at Lockheed Martin, Emergency One, Custom Windows. I went to ClosetMate today. We had a couple graduates there. It's a very high-paying job, and it's a great career. That if you have any relatives or high school students that are thinking about a career, wow, what a great job, what a great career. I would go back and do that myself if I was able to do that myself and not have the school loans that I have right now. But nonetheless, I mean, it's a very high-paying job, and it's an awesome career that, thinking alternatively, if you want to stay local, and we want our graduates to stay local. And by the way, 9 out of 10 of our graduates for our bachelor's degree program, they end up staying locally and getting jobs locally here, and helping our economy and helping our economy grow. So I mean, that engineering program is an awesome program. Logistics, of course, is a very popular program that we have, and of course, I got to talk about our vintage farm. Some of you might have heard about our vintage farm that was donated to us about 2 years ago. We just got our first classroom on that farm, where we have our agribusiness and our equine program. So we have the World Equestrian Center that's going out in Ocala right now. It's about to be finished. So we're hoping a lot of our graduates that are going through our equine program can get jobs out there at that World Equestrian Center, where they'll be doing international events there that are just absolutely massive, which really isn't too far from here, maybe about 15 miles. So there's plenty of opportunities. It's ripe right now for employment and really great opportunities for our students to get jobs. Nothing is more fulfilling for me than I see our graduates go out and they get jobs and they get careers and they continue on and they stay locally here. So those opportunities might not have been as nearly as abundant as they were 10 years ago, as we all know. So anyway, that's kind of an overview of the business and technology area. Can I answer any questions before I turn it over to Lauren? Yes, sir.
Do you have internship programs or
Absolutely. 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 If you're going to get your 2-year degree, you have to go through a co-op program, depending on what that program was. If you're interested in any of our internships, I can get you contacted with them. And for the bachelor's degree, same thing. They have to go through an internship program. Now, many of those are working professionals that they go through that internship where they're working already, but we do have probably 25% that aren't in that area, that they go out and we serve the community as far as local businesses go and try to serve them with internships. And that's been very successful. Yes, ma'am. Can you be a little more specific? It doesn't really go by the salary, it goes by the number of jobs. Okay.
So there isn't a threshold on how much they can earn?
No. We go through CareerSource. I don't know if you're familiar with CareerSource. They give us that data, and that's how we really looked at that gap for accounting, for example. There's a lot of jobs in accounting right now that aren't being filled. That's why we went that route, okay? And of course, we like to go the high skill, high wage jobs like accounting, and we know that that is in that area. Okay, now, for example, the agribusiness and equine, they are not high skill, high wage jobs, but any of you all know those industries, those people go into that area because they love what they do. They really enjoy what they do. So, you know, the high skill, high wage isn't a factor for them, but we still nonetheless try to factor on accounting and logistics and engineering, where those are high skill, high wage jobs that students can get and get good high paying jobs and careers. Yes, sir. We help them connect with employers. So, I mean, if you are interested in getting on that list, I mean, we can give you those contacts to where if you needed someone to do a co-op for a term, for example, the co-op is normally during a term, we connect with employers and try to to get those students good internships or co-ops. Yes, sir. Okay, that's a little different. The AS degree wouldn't be that route, but you would want to go the AA route, Associate in Arts degree. We do have a 2-year program. I'm speaking in an area that's not my area, but we have a early childhood education degree that a student can get a 4-year degree in early childhood education that they can teach from, I think, kindergarten through 3rd grade, maybe 4th. But we do a program that we have right now that we're going to add is elementary ed, where they can go through the 6th grade. So we're going to change that with CF for someone who's interested in elementary education. It's probably going to take us about a year to get that approved, but they would go through the 6th grade. And we're also adding a secondary ed in mathematics, I believe, too. So, and again, any of the 4-year programs that we offer, they're going to be focused on anything that's going to be high demand jobs in the area. Other questions before I turn it over to Lauren? Yes, sir.
Satellite. Have you guys thought about putting a satellite campus over in this part of the world, because we're kind of at the end of the world, but we still service. There's 3 counties.
I get you. I live in Citrus Springs, so I go. Yeah. So I mean, but actually, probably about 10 years ago, we looked at Denellen as a site for a campus, a satellite campus, as you said. Unfortunately, what has happened in 10 years, guess what? Rural campuses enrollment is going down, and the reason being is online education, which we offer. Okay, so I mean, as far as the face-to-face campuses, even the Levy campus that we opened, they're not necessarily struggling, but the enrollment maybe has not been as brisk as we thought it would be because of the online education. A lot of that is because the online education. Why should I go 20 miles or 30 miles or even outside down the road if I can get an online education, which we do offer online courses too.
With that said, do you guys, or have you looked at like a center where, like a library or a staging center where people who are that have less opportunities to get from point A to point B to do the online education?
In other words, they might not have the online at their home or whatever the case. And to be transparent and honest with you, no, they're not. But again, I mean, that's something that down the line that could be a possibility as all this evolves. with the online education, because there's been more and more credibility with online education. You know, so I mean, we right now, as far as the BAS program, for example, we're careful because we have what's called a hybrid course, where some is online and some is in the classroom, and they're 8-week terms. So it's really convenient for somebody who's working. They would only have to take a course in 8 weeks and go to class once a week, and the rest could be done online, and they can take 2 a term. So someone working full-time can take 6 credits in a term, in a 16-week term, but only be taking 1 class at a time. Make sense? You know, your traditional term is just 16 weeks, and you split up in 8 weeks and 8 weeks. So we find students are a lot more successful that way, but we do have online in that BAS at the same time, but we're careful on how much we want to expand that, because the success rate of going face-to-face as opposed to online is still, there's still a difference there. Not as big as it was 10, 15 years ago when it all started, but the online learning started. So, I mean, it's still evolving, but that might be something long-term where it might evolve, and it might be good for us to look into that. That's not a bad idea, actually. I never thought of that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Other questions? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Lauren Carr. She's going to kind of make a transition here from, I talked to you a lot about the credit programs that we have. She's going to talk to you about the non-credit and the corporate college. That some of you have the local businesses here, and tell you about the opportunities that we have as far as corporate training goes, and how that's been growing at our college too. So I'm gonna turn it over to Lauren right now. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm not very good with a microphone. So tell me if you can't hear me. No, but I would like a little bit more slack, I think, because I'm going to leave things over here. I promise I won't walk around now. You can all hear me, right? Okay, well, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon. I'm really pleased to be here. Wonderful questions, by the way. Please feel free to talk to us afterward, and I'll try not to take too much of your time. As I said, I'm Lauren Carr, the director of the corporate college at the College of Central Florida, and I just want to get an idea. Does anybody know what the corporate college does? Is anybody familiar with corporate training? Have you ever heard of it before? A little bit? Okay, so what Rob talked about is more on the credit side of the college, is always what I like to say. So the College of Central Florida exists to help people get a career, a new career, maybe change careers, maybe make them more employable in some way. They offer the degrees like he spoke about, certifications and certificates. Whereas the corporate college, and what I do with corporate training, is I cater to those people that are already working. So once they educate them, they put them out in the workforce, that's where I step in. And as you all know, if you stay in a job too long in this day and age, you start dating yourself, because technology changes so quickly and things are happening. If you don't get training while you're on the job, or if you don't move around a little bit, you'll get stagnant in your field, right? So that's kind of what I do, and that's what I help keep people current, fresh, competitive, if you will. So I don't have a mission statement as such, but if I did, this is what it would look like. The corporate college strives to close industry skill gaps by continually developing employees' knowledge, skills, and abilities through targeted training on their job in order to help companies and the employees be more of a competitive workforce. So that kind of sums up what I do. The College of Central Florida has been doing corporate training and delivering customized training services for well over 20 years now. I've been with the college a little over 12 myself. And regardless of the industry you're in, because I've been talking to some people and you come from various walks of life, regardless of your industry and regardless of the size of your company, we're able to provide you with training services. So we'll talk about some customization in a little bit. There are literally hundreds of topics that we train on. To give you an example, just this January and February, we've delivered training on leadership, supervision, Excel, forklift, OSHA, project management. warehouse management. We've done accounting, customer service, and team building, and that was just in the last 2 months. So you can see, give you an idea of what we can do. We can actually prepare people for certifications, like, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the PMMI mechatronics certification, national certification. So we can prepare people for those as well. So we don't do degrees or things like that, but we can help people gain certifications and certificates in a different sense than on the credit side of the college. So that's what we do. I think there was only one request that I was going to stumble on. I had trouble delivering, and that was fiberglass training. It never went anywhere, and that would have caused me a little trouble, but we would have worked out a way, I'm sure. So I mentioned customized. Customization in my sense means making training, delivering, designing training just for your organization, whether it's a workshop, a class, whatever, that is just for your people and just with the content that you need. So I know I'm talking to a lot of small businesses in here. Don't let the word customization make you think expensive, because it doesn't have to be. But customization can actually save you a lot of money. I had one company that told me they need Excel training, they need computers, so they wanted to start with the basics. They were going to send everybody through. What we did is we helped them create a survey, and we decided who needed basic, intermediate, advanced, and then we created classes for those people. So instead of sending everybody through, and people are sitting there going, well, I already know this, and they're wasting time, they're only going to what they need. So the basics started, and then we all went to the intermediate, and then some went on to advanced and so forth. So that actually saved them some money. But that's what I mean about really customizing your programs and not just, using a canned product, in other words, off the shelf. Can everybody still hear me? Okay. Another way we can customize is we can combine subjects, and a lot of people don't think of that, but I get companies that ask me for Excel, common need, or QuickBooks is another one. We can combine these subjects. So in order to use QuickBooks, you can't really just teach the software. It's accounting principles. If you don't understand accounting, you're going to struggle probably with the QuickBooks. So we can combine accounting principles with the QuickBooks software. And oh, by the way, a lot of accountants use Excel because they do work with spreadsheets, and you have to be able to tally numbers and so forth. So why not throw that in too? So instead of saying this is what it would look like if you had Excel, we just go ahead and bring it in. And we train on that too. So it just makes sense. It bundles it. It makes the training that much more applicable. They can get back to their work site and start. It takes them less time to apply what they've just learned. Since I'm working off of cards here, feel free to interrupt me. I won't lose my place. So if you think of a question, don't feel free to interrupt if you want to. So what we really want to do is consider ourselves a partner with your organization. A lot of companies say, oh, we don't need you. We've got our own trainer. But, as we all know, if you use the same person too often, you take on the parent role, and then the kids stop listening to you. So if you bring in somebody new every once in a while, it's a different perspective. Just like when Rob and I are handing off, you're hearing a different voice, you perk up again. Oh, she's got something else to say. Maybe you like my style better or worse than his. And it just refreshes the situation. So that's another reason to use trainers. Let's see. So let's just say I've convinced you that training is important. And let's just say now you're ready to do some training, but you're saying, well, why the corporate college? What can they offer me? Well, we've got a lot of reasons why you might want to use us, or at least consider us. Location is one thing. We've got our traditional campuses on Citrus, Levy, and Marion if you want that kind of environment. We also have our Hampton Center in Marion County. Rob mentioned our Vintage Farm, and we have the Appleton Museum. So if you want to do training, but you don't want to call it training, you can call it a retreat or whatever. Bring your employees. It's a psychological thing, but it works. You bring your employees out. They have a different feel. It's more of a relaxed, not a party atmosphere, but just different. In fact, in some cases, it makes more sense. If you're trying to do art-related training or equine-related training, you might want to move to a different location. So our locations are really important. If you don't like our locations, we can come to you. There's a lot of good, argument for having the training at the work site. You're familiar with the equipment. You can use your setup. We can see your tools and so forth. We've even traveled. We've sent our people out of town. We've done training in New York, Orlando, South Carolina for subsidiaries and sister companies. So it doesn't mean you have to do it here. We have room options. Of course, we have classrooms, we have computer labs, we have meeting spaces of all sizes. So a lot of our customers come in and have their monthly meetings at our locations just because there's a bigger room. We can do that. And again, even if you have your own trainer, you can rent space with us if you just need a bigger space. So we can accommodate you there. We also have a conference services department, and they can cater. So unlike hotels, when a lot of times you have to use their food services, with us you can bring in your own food, which is a huge benefit, because conference services is expensive as far as food and beverage goes, but they can do buffets, they can do coffee service, just snacks. I mean, there's all kinds of things they can do for your event, your meeting, your training, and so forth. Custom content. We talked about the custom content earlier. The more you can do to customize that training to your business, the better your employees will benefit from it, or you. So when we do the accounting training, for example, we want that company's spreadsheets, ledgers, balance sheets, whatever. Bring those to us. Bring the problems you're having to the training, so that way we can work through them. And that will make sense for your people. They'll be able to use it right away. They'll see the need. It relieves so many stresses in their job, all those kinds of things. So we encourage that. My instructors are really good about receiving that. In fact, it helps them structure their content. Scheduling, we always accommodate my customers' schedules, whether that be shift work, whether that be weekends or evenings, whatever. The most common schedule seems to be during a weekday, during the day. Nobody wants to pay overtime or after hours, but we can do weekends and evenings if you need. And like I say, a lot of my trainers do travel. Program length, again, just like everything else, we're flexible in our program length. Some people want it all and done, and others want it spread out. What we find that works best is if you spread out the training. We hit you with the training, you let a little time go by, you go back to the office, apply it, see how it's going. Obviously, new things come up that you didn't think about. Now you've got questions or something isn't working right, and that's when we come back in for follow-up. So we reinforce what you've been taught, and then we keep going with more, or maybe we're clarifying the problems that you've experienced since. But a lot of people don't have time to do that. They don't want to take everyone off the floor at the same time. What they'll end up doing is doing it maybe all in one afternoon. So we can do, I think our shortest would be about 2 hours, because if you do any shorter than that, you just get started and then you have to stop. But we can do all day. We can do days back to back. We can spread it out over months. We've done series before. We've done the same program, the exact same program, over and over and over to accommodate groups of people that can't get off the floor all at the same time. I know a lot of you are small business owners and you've got very few people, or can't afford it, or any number of other things. I have planned training for multiple companies. So if you each have one or two and want to get together and have an Excel class, we can certainly do that in some general location that's convenient to everyone. So really, if you haven't noticed, flexibility is the name of the game. We literally will do anything you need, which makes our type of training much better than something you can get off the shelf, because it's really customized for your place of business. And once I do find an instructor that I think is going to meet your need, I bring them out to you. So you're interviewing them and they're interviewing you, and you can make sure that person's going to work for you. And then, of course, the format we do our training in mostly is in lecture, like what I'm doing now. But once they impart some information, they try to get everyone up and moving, and they try to make it fun. We do role plays, we do interaction, because that's the way you learn. You got to do it. You can't just hear about it. If I sat up here and said, this is the ideal, this is the way it should be, we go back and that's not the way it is. You need the real thing. And the only way you can experience that is to do it yourself and to see how it goes. And then you run into a problem, and then you realize, oh, I have more questions. Or I didn't think I thought I understood it, and I don't. So that's how we do that. But we do understand the adult learner. We mostly deal with the adult learner. Every once in a while, we'll offer camps in a non-credit sense. I've kind of steered clear of that word non-credit because that's not all we do, but that's primarily what I do, whereas what Rob talked about is more on the credit side. And pricing, I just want to mention finally, I don't have standard pricing. If you ask me for pricing, I can't say I'm X amount per hour or X amount per person. It just doesn't work that way. Everything I do is custom. It all takes different prep. Some instructors are more expensive than others. Sometimes there are materials we have to purchase for you or whatever. We don't charge for meetings, for space. So if you book training with us, we don't charge you for the venue on top of it. But custom, again, does not mean necessarily expensive. So keep that in mind. It just means you're getting only what you paid for. Kind of like you hear in the insurance commercials, pay only what you need, you know, so your prices are more reasonable. What else can I tell you? I really love this. Usually I have companies that come to me and they say, I have one person that needs word training. And I say, well, that's going to cost you a lot of money. The price is scary when you do it that way. I say, well, if you just do a little pre-planning, maybe I can help you with a survey. We can find out how many other people might need it. Maybe they just need a refresher. Maybe they don't really need it for their job, but they'd like to take it. If you can fill the room, a class that would normally cost $500 for one person, you could put 20 people in the same class, it still cost you $500. So I'm trying to educate employers that way to get a little bit more, you know, just do a little bit of planning, and you can really make that dollar go far. And of course, I don't know where I am for time, so yank me if I'm getting too long. I just got a little bit longer. Remember, it's not the training that is why we train. It's the results you're hoping to achieve from that training, right? So when you do safety training, you're hoping for less accidents, and when you're doing service training, you're hoping to keep more customers and run off less, right? So those are the results that we're trying to get. So we don't want to focus so much on the training. And I've actually told my organizations, if people don't like training, don't call it that. Just call it something else. I think training gets a bad rap. But a lot of times it's what you make of it. If your president comes in and says, welcome everyone, this is going to be a wonderful day. We've got food for you. We're going to make it fun. We got little prizes. Before they know it, they're learning in spite of themselves. And yes, it is training, and they don't even realize it, right? And we have to play these games sometimes. So there's all kinds of reasons we do training. There's all kinds of reasons that we can help you with non-training. Okay, if we do safety training, we can also do walk-through safety audits and make sure your factories or your places of business are in order in the event you have an OSHA visit. We can help you with retreats. We can help you with motivational speakers. Say, you know, you have a monthly meeting and it's getting kind of blah. Maybe you just need someone to come in and perk it up. Do some fun activity, team building, something to get everyone energized. Maybe you're trying to roll out a new philosophy. You're changing the entire way you do business, and you got to reinitiate everyone. Things like that. There's always a reason to do training, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the direct job, right? So think outside of the box a little bit. So just take a moment. I mean, I know you're coming from different places, different companies, different sizes, but think a moment. Is there any way, anywhere in your organization right now that you need to train someone? Maybe yourself. Maybe no one's having problems, but they just need to improve. Or maybe you're a little behind on technology and you want to upgrade and get everyone trained. Think in terms of that. Are you willing to commit to that this year, in the coming year? Just like we budget for everything else, you got to budget for training. It does cost money. It isn't free. Just like as Rob said, in complete transparency, I do charge for my services, but I do try to keep them competitive and reasonable, especially knowing the market that we're in. So I just want to thank you. Are there any questions for me on what I do, or if you have any questions that have come up? Anything at all? Did I explain it? Does everyone know what corporate college is now and corporate training? So that's what I do all day. Yes, ma'am. Both and everything in between. I use a lot of people that may be retired and have a wealth of knowledge. I use current faculty. I use consultants that do nothing but train all day. Subject matter experts. We have people in business that love what they do so much they like to train or keep their skills sharp in some way, and so that's why they do it. But literally, it's sky's the limit. And I try to keep my costs down, so I try to stay away from the big wigs that are in the thousands, because then that just raises costs. Yeah. Anybody else?
I think the mayor.
Oh, yes, sir.
Do you do any pro bono work?
Sure do, yep.
Also, do you do any shadowing where you could actually send somebody in to find out
Sure do.
Different ways that things can be done?
Absolutely. Yes, I've got a
I'd like to
wonderful.
talk with you.
Okay, wonderful. I do have some examples of that. Yes, we do, like us speaking, or sometimes I send my speakers to an organization or a meeting to give a sample of what they do. I think that gives you a true taste of what I'm talking about, because until you experience the roller coaster, you say, oh, that's just scary. But once you get on it, you're like, I want to do that again. So that's unfortunately, that's my job. I got to convince you somehow before you get that taste that you're really going to, think it's worthwhile. So yes, we do both. One of my instructors came to an organization recently. He was on the floor so long with these people, I had to leave. He was literally revamping their whole line, and they were so thrilled they just couldn't stop. So they're going to get their welding training, but in the meanwhile, they just got so much more out of it, and that's something we don't charge for because it's word of mouth that keeps my business growing. Like I think a lot of you, that's how we work. So absolutely, but good points. Absolutely, yep. Anyone else? Well, thank you both. Thank you all for your time tonight, and I appreciate on behalf of Danielle and Rob, thank you so much for allowing us to speak with you.
And there is also in the back of the room a table full of brochures that any of you could check out on your way out. And Lauren and Rob and Danielle will also be here for a few minutes if you would like to talk to them if something comes up and you have another question. Okay. So now we're at the point in our program where we all introduce ourselves. But I know this microphone is not going to go around the room, so Andy, you need them to be loud, right? Okay, so if you're going